So hi everyone, good morning, Shana Tova. As Ariel started and presented me, my name is Shlomi, and I will introduce myself in a second a bit more. Um, we are going to meet for three meetings. This is the first of three meetings to speak about different ways how we can use technology and different technological tools in education. In our first meeting today, I will start by sharing some of the theory and the basic of how a virtual program should look like. And then I will also share some tools and websites that can help your programs be more fun and more interactive to your participants. In our second meeting, it will be more about how to create interaction, what ways we can use the Zoom itself and other apps and tools in order to create more interaction during our meetings. And in the third meeting, we are going to speak about topics that are a bit more complicated on how we can create virtual tours, how we can create virtual museums, how we can combine few different topics and create a virtual escape rooms. And those are the kind of the activities that we're going to speak about. After every time that I will show some of the tools, we will give some time to practice. So in about an hour from now, something like that, it will be after the period of the time that I am speaking, I will split all the participants into breakout rooms. And together with Yulia, I will be able to move in between the rooms and help each one of you to practice and to try by yourself some of the tools that I'm speaking about. I want to say two main things. First, I am not going to speak about all the tools that are out there. I am assuming that some of you are familiar with tools that probably I'm not aware of, and I think it's okay. If you can share with me, I would love to. I am sharing with you tools that I'm using in my daily work life to create interaction and to make my virtual sessions more fun and that the participants will enjoy more. The second thing is, for some of you, it might look like there are many, many tools. And I know that it's hard to say, wow, where even to start from? There are so many ideas, so many tools. And my suggestion is to choose after each session one, maybe two tools to start and practice. Every time that you're practicing, you will get better and you will be able to use the specific tool in a better way. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to stop or to press the unmute button and to ask, and then Yulia will be able to translate for me, or to write in the chat. And then if Ariel or Asi or Yulia will be able to translate, and I will be happy to answer any question. And if there are any questions now, I will start by sharing my screen, and we can start the short introduction to online learning and online sessions. So this is our session. Let's start. So about myself, in a really nutshell, as Ariel mentioned, my name is Шломи Эдельштейн. I live in a small place called Jerusalem that you probably heard about in Israel. I'm married and I'm a father for two kids. We're now in Israel in lockdown. My door is closed, but I hope that they won't come in. I'm working in the field of Jewish education and Israel education for about a decade. It's 10 years since I finished my army service and started to work in the field of Israel education and Jewish education. I'm holding a BA from the Hebrew University in education, and I'm currently in my studies for my MA, also in education and social entrepreneurship in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. In my day job, I'm working for the Jewish Agency for Israel as the educational director of the Shlichut program. Maybe some of you are familiar with Israelis who are going to live in Jewish communities around the world in order to make connections between the Jewish people and Israel. So this is what I'm doing for my day job. And my main hobby, just for the introduction, is photography. If anyone here also like photography, I'm open to any kind of conversations about it. But let's take about 18 minutes, even less. And as you can see, my timer has started to the left, and I want to speak for a really short time about the basic theory of online learning and online activities. When creating an online activity, and let's say that the water that are in the bucket are the content of the activity that we want to give. So there is a thought, or there was a thought, maybe before the coronavirus broke, that we can take the water or the content of the frontal activity, the face-to-face activity that we wanted to give, and we can pour the water from one bucket, that we will call it the frontal bucket, to the pink bucket that is the virtual bucket. Meaning, there was a thought that we can give the same activity, the same class, the same lecture, exactly as we would give it if we would be in a face-to-face position. We know that it's not working. It's not working because people saying that they are tired of it and it's boring. And also research tells us that it's not working. So what we need to do in order to create a good activity that will be online. So research tell us that in order to create a good distance learning, we need 3 different components. The first one is obviously the content itself. Let's say that I want to teach about a specific value, or I want to speak about a person or an historic event that happened in the past. I still need to speak or to have the educational content about this specific topic. But what I need to add to my class is the experience. Experience is important, and obviously also in frontal education, it is important that our students will feel that they are part of the class and they are enjoying it. But even more when it is online, it is important that it will be through experience, and I will give examples of what I mean. And the third content is obviously the technology, the bucket of the technology, because we are using the technology, if it's Zoom or any other program that we're using for our need, but we also need to think all the time, what is the other technology that we're using? So Zoom is great, and the app Zoom are doing good, but they're doing good for a specific educational need or for a specific need. If I want to add another technology, another tool, or another options, what do I use in order to create this interactivity? And we will speak about it. When pouring those 3 buckets into one, we can call it a tank, then we get the long distance learning tank. It's not anymore a bucket, but we are using the content itself, the experience, and the technology in order to create new kind of lesson or activity, and it's a distance learning activity or virtual activity. It is important to understand that there are 4 main methodologies of learning. When speaking about learning, I'm not asking what is learning, that's a different question. I'm asking how we are learning, and I want to share 4 of the main methodologies. To the left, you can see the F2F or face-to-face, the frontal methodology. I'm assuming that you're educators and you are experienced in learning and teach others, then think about yourself and how many years you have experience of learning or teaching in the methodology of face-to-face. It's not a coincidence that it's very hard for us as people who are very used to the frontal method to switch into the virtual method, because we are very experienced in it. We know how to do it. We know how it's done good and how it's done not so good. The other methodologies, the second one is called blended. The meaning of blended is that, for example, we can be in a frontal classroom, so we are in a class, but some of the activities that I will ask you to do during my class will be with technology. For example, let's say that I want to teach about a specific historical event. So I am speaking about the event, and then I'm asking my participants to take out their phones, to watch a video on YouTube, for example, and to fill questions about the video on Google Forms, and then back to me in front of them to speak about the event. This kind of learning called blended learning. I am blending the digital and technological tools together with my frontal way of teaching. The third methodology called hybrid. Hybrid, it's in Israel at least, it's a very, very famous methodology nowadays. Many teachers and in the Ministry of Education, they are speaking a lot about it. The idea of hybrid learning is that we don't have to learn all at the same time. For example, if I'm still using the example of an historic event, then I can say, let's say that I want to teach about a specific historical event and I want my students to learn about it. So I can say, okay, your homework will be watch a video about this specific event. And then at your free time during your homework, please fill the form with questions about it. And then during class, we will process and we will be able to speak about what you have learned during your homework, okay? The idea of hybrid learning is that it doesn't have to be all at the same time, the act of learning itself, but we can also speak about what we have learned when we learned by ourselves. And the last methodology is online. If you have experienced an online session that is all throughout Zoom or everything was online, so, and if I'm giving the example again, so I want to teach about a specific historic event. I'm speaking about the event on Zoom. Then I'm sharing my screen with the video, and then I'm continuing my class on Zoom. That is online learning. The methodology is online. Why it is important to understand the different methodologies? Because when, at least according to the research, when we want to create an activity, it is important to pay attention to the wheels of learning. When we're building an online activities, we want to make sure that we are aware to what's happening in our environment, okay? And this is the first wheel. Can we learn in the way how we want to learn? And I think that the best example is the coronavirus. Until the virus came, most of our methodology was face-to-face. And then the environment changed, and now we have to change how we are learning and how we are teaching. The second wheel that have to change is the methodology itself. Because obviously, if the environment is forcing us to use Zoom, then we need to switch into hybrid, blended, or online. And then the last parameter is obviously the technology. Because the main technologies that we used, most of us, I'm assuming, when we taught in a frontal setting, in a class setting, was a board and a marker. Maybe some of us had projectors in class or something else, but this is the main technology. And what we wrote on the board and how we handle the class, this was our technology. But now when switching to different methodologies, then we need to rethink of the technology that we're using. And I think that if I'm trying to give a title to our 3 meetings, the title is how to use technology that will fit the methodology that you're using in order to fix what the environment is forcing us. This is what we're trying to do. Now, and I'm finishing really soon, according to 3 researchers from Harvard in America, when we are teaching online, there are 5 steps, 5 main topics that we need to pay attention to. First, we shouldn't call ourselves anymore, or we shouldn't look at ourselves as teachers or counselors, but more as gym instructors or coaches. Why? Because according at least to the research, a good coach is a person who is sharing with his trainee, with a person that is training with him, first, what is the meaning of the specific exercise that we're doing right now? Second, what is the purpose of this exercise as part of the entire plan? And third, many times the coach will do the exercise together with the person who is exercising with him. And they're saying that we need to do the same. When we're doing an online session, it is important, if you remember, as I started, to explain what we're doing right now, how this specific lesson is part of the entire 3 meeting session. And now when we will do some of the activities, I will do it together with you. Second point is, it is important every day, like in a gym class, to use a different muscle the same way in online learning. Let's say that you like very much a specific tool. Don't use it every time. Don't use it every meeting. The students, by the end, if you will use it every day, every meeting, they will get tired of it. And we want them to be excited about our meetings. So try to switch as much as you can. Third point says that online learning and online sessions takes more time than frontal sessions. So if you know yourself that usually you give a great class in a 45-minute session, probably online it will take you more time. So make sure that when you're planning your class, your activity, plan for less time. Fourth point, we want online learning to be fun, and I hope that this is what I will show you next. We want it to be interactive, we want it to be fun, we want the participants to be in it. And the fifth point, and the last one, it is important, like the same way in a gym and in exercising, it is important to bring yourself to the exercise, but it's also important to calm down for a second and to process what we have done. The same way exactly in online learning. It is important to speak about the educational content that we want, but it is also important to stop and to ask, how was it? To send a survey, to ask them to vote, okay? Any kind of ideas of how we can do any kind of process. So I think I finished the sorry, the basics, the theoretical background, and I would like to ask if there are any questions. Okay, if there are any questions, then we can continue, and I'll be happy to start by sharing some of the tools and the ideas that I prepared for you. So, sorry. According to research, and it is very important to start every virtual session with kind of fun activity. If it's a 45-minute session or 40-minute session, my suggestion is that it will be about 5 minutes. If it's a 90 minutes session, then about 10 minutes, and it also depends how many participants do you have. How we can do some fun activities online and through Zoom. So here you have a table with few examples of how we can use the Zoom itself in order to create some interaction with our participants. I apologize that it's not in Russian. I will try to translate it the best way we can. And I also will say that we will experience some of the ideas here in this meeting, in the next meeting, and in the third meeting. So obviously, we can use, when using the Zoom, we can use the chat box, because we can, for example, ask a question and we can ask our participants to answer it in the chat box. We can create a poll. In our next session, I will show you how to create a poll on Zoom. We can share videos, we can change the light, we can ask them to bring something for class. For example, you can ask them to bring any kind of snack or their favorite t-shirt and show all the participants what they're wearing or what they're eating. You can ask them to change their virtual background and, for example, to go online and to choose a picture that reflects how do they feel right now, and to change the background to this picture. You can ask them to send you their favorite song on Zoom, on the chat, and then you can create a list from this. You can ask them to go to a specific place in their house or in the room where they want to show you something. You can ask them to dress in a specific way. So there are a few ways how we can use the Zoom itself in order to create fun activities. But I also want to show you few fun apps that you can use. The first one is Scribble. Scribble is a great app. Let me open it. Just a second, I apologize. Here. So here is Scribble, and I also put the link on the chat box if someone wants to copy it already. Scribble, the idea of Scribble is, as I said, it can be a fun game. You can see now I'm using the English version, but you can see that there are many languages that you can use, okay? And the idea is when we're playing, and I will show you for a second, when I'm playing on Scribble, you can see now there are 4 participants here on the game. This human, this is the participants who is now drawing a word. The word have 4 letters, and I need to guess what is the word that he or she is drawing right now. And it's all happening live. I see live what they are drawing right now. It's 4 letters, and I need to guess what the word is. And I can write whatever I want here, and I can guess. And it's a really fun game to start with, because I will show you here, you can also do, let me switch it to Russian. You can also do, as you can see here, create a private room. And when creating a private room, you will be able to see that I can decide how many rounds, how much time for each round, what would be the language that I'm using, and I can also choose a specific word that I want my participants to be able to draw. That way, and then when I'm doing open room or go to game and I'm sending them the link over here, here is the link, I'm sending my students or my participants the link, they will be able to join the room that I created, and then we can play together the game of Scribble. It's a fun way, it's a great way to open a class, or if you see that your students are a bit tired and you want to energize the environment for a second, it's a great way how to do it. I want to show another idea. the idea called will decide. This is the website, and I will press on the link, and then you'll be able to see the website. The idea of will decide is very simple, and I will also copy the link. Here you have the link. The idea of will decide is very simple and very easy. Here there is a will. I can scroll down and I can choose whatever I want that it will be written on my will. Okay, I'm just pressing random letters. I can ask any kind of question that I want. And then when pressing apply will changes, you will be able to see here I have all the questions that I wrote here. I have them on the wheel. And then when I'm spinning the wheel, as you can see, there is a question that is chosen. And I can ask, how do you feel today? What do you think about a specific topic? What are your thoughts about something? Share with us any kind of information that you want. And it's a fun way, as I said, to open a class. And the third app that I want to show you is called PlayBuzz. PlayBuzz is an Israeli app, but it's also in many languages, including Russian. So you'll be able to see when it's loading that I can choose language, and I also have Russian. And as you can see, it's kind of a personality test. So you see here, I'm not sure what are the questions that are appearing here, but as you can see, if I'm going to a specific trivia, then there is a question. And if I'm choosing, I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I can also create a trivia and I can play a game about trivia. And if I'm pressing create your own experience here to the right, then the option is to create your own trivia game where, as I said, you can create a personality test or a trivia game or whatever you want. And then, sorry, your participants can also share with the rest of the class what is their score. So here you have, as I said, here, this is the slide, you have 3 fun options of games that you can start a class or an activity with. And for my experience, it can really energize the atmosphere in the room and can really help your students and the participants to be energized and excited about the class that are coming. Any questions? Okay, so if we don't have any questions, let's continue. And I'll share my screen again. I want to speak a bit about collaborative tools. What are collaborative tools? Collaborative tools are tools that one person can open, and then when sending the link to the participants, to your students, they can also help create and edit and design the final product. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you one example of a great app called Padlet, here to the right. The idea of Padlet is to create a collaborative board. So here is an example, and I want to show you an example that one of my friends created. So we didn't have any Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day activities because of the coronavirus. So what she did, she created a Padlet asking what Israel means to me, and she shared it with her community. And different people, as you can see here, different people posted their picture and wrote on the board what Israel means to them. And then what we received we received a board, a great board that is collaborative, and everyone can use it, and everyone can edit on it and add what they feel. And here I will paste the link. You have it in the chat. Padlet also works in Russian. We just need to switch the language. Okay, when you go to settings, here you can see settings. There is also a possibility to change the language to Russian, and it's working great also in Russian. So what you can do with it is, as I said, you can create, and here's an example of something that we created in the previous session. One of the participants created their own Padlet. You can choose everything basically on the Padlet here. You can here you can see those are my Padlets, and I will give you another example. Look what I have created here. So I wanted to ask my participants how was the year for them. I asked them to send me a picture that reflects what do they feel about the year of studying with coronavirus, and they send me the picture. And you can see here that we created a virtual conversation, because people, and maybe I will make the, let me for a second create the background a bit more here. I will change the background, then you can see the different lines in between. So I asked the participants, as I said, to send a picture, and they sent a picture, and then people spoke one with each other about what they feel towards this specific picture. And we created a virtual discussion, and people wrote to one another, what do they feel, what do they think, and they connected the specific picture to what they wrote. How do I create Padlet? So here you can see, here is a Padlet. And as I said, it's working on also in Russian. And when I'm going and creating a Padlet, make a Padlet, then it will ask me what kind of Padlet I want to make. There are a few options. Okay, when you will have your own Padlet, then you will be able to see the different options. And then when I'm choosing a specific Padlet, then I can start creating, and I can create whatever I want. In the free account, you can have up to 5 Padlets. Okay, more than that, you will have to pay. I see that I have a question, so let me for a second move to the the interpretation. What is the question? Okay, so let me continue. Okay, so after, let's say, after we have our Padlet, going on the Padlet itself, I mean the board itself, you can see here to the right, I will translate to Russian, I have the option of share here with this icon of the arrow. When I'm pressing share, it is asking me what is the privacy that I want for my board, and I can change, and I can ask the Padlet that visitors will be able to read, to write, or to edit. If I'm choosing that they can only read, it means that they cannot change everything. They can only see what I have posted on the wall. If I'm giving them the option to write, it means that they cannot change everything. They can only add. And if I'm giving them the permission to edit, it means that they can change everything in the wall. Okay, what I can add on the wall, I will show you an example. So let's say that I want to add here another post. Double click on the wall itself, And here is another post that I can post. As you can see here, it gives me the option to write a text if I want, but also when I'm pressing the three dots, then I can add a picture, a link, Google search, a film, a voice record, screen. I can draw a place. I can draw a picture. I can add a place, and I can obviously add another Padlet. Is there a question?
Да, скажите, вот стрелочка, стрелочки, вот, которые идут к картинкам, к фотографиям, это они автоматически получаются или как-то их нужно сделать?
No, it's a good question. Let me show you how to create these arrows.
Shlomi, excuse me, I think some people may have joined late and may not be in the interpretation channel. So maybe we need to tell them to press interpretation. Anybody who is not listening to the Russian translation should choose interpretation on the controls and then Russian. Maybe Ariel can explain.
Maybe Julia can re-explain it.
She's not in the main forum. She's in the, yeah.
Yes. So let me take Julia out for a second. How do I do it? Rega, Debbie, I will make you host. Okay. Debbie, you're a host now, Debbie. And then I think you should take Julia out because now only in the interpretation they can hear her.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Julia, can you explain to everybody to go?
Для тех, кто присоединился к нам позже, для перевода, тем, кому нужен перевод на русский язык, пожалуйста, у вас есть кнопочка Interpretation, и выберите там Russian, и тогда вы будете слышать русский перевод.
Also, Julia, can you ask people to change their screen name to their full name, because then I can see who is in the session. Some people have like the name of the Chesed or iPhone, if they can write down even in Russian their names.
Дебби еще просит всех, чтобы вы, пожалуйста, поменяли вот название, чтобы она видела ваши реальные имена, даже если по-русски написано, потому что у некоторых только название Хеседа или еще что-то написано, а она хотела бы знать, кто конкретно участвует. Да, пожалуйста, поменяйте имена.
Okay, Julia, I'm putting you in.
Все, я возвращаюсь.
Okay, so for the question of how do I do the arrows. So let's say that I want to write something, and here in the title, I wrote, okay, let's say I wrote my name and I wrote something. When I want to connect to the arrow, right click on the post that I want to connect to, and then there is an option, connect to a post. Here, connect to a post. And then I can press connect, and I can connect this post here. And now there is an arrow, and it doesn't matter where I will move this box, this post, it will always be connected to the post that I connected it to. Okay, so this is how I'm connecting a post. Right click, connect to a post. You will be able to see it when you will open your Padlet, and very soon we want to give you the opportunity to practice yourself, and Padlet is definitely one of the options that you can choose of practicing, and I highly recommend to open Padlet and to practice it. Okay, so this is Padlet, as I said, great tool, and definitely something to consider working with. I want to show another option, another great app that is called Thing Link. This is the name of the app, Thing Link. And I will show you what is the idea behind this app. It is also an app that is working in Russian, okay? You need to go to your settings and switch it to Russian. Mine is in English, but it is also working in Russian, and you can also use Russian for it. The idea of Thing Link is you can take any kind of picture or even video and to add tag on the picture itself. The example that you see right here in front of you is a class in Israel that want to present themselves to a class in America. The way how they chose to do it, they took a class picture and each student tagged him or herself, and each one wrote about themselves a few sentences. And now I can go from one student to another, as you can see, and I can see what they wrote about themselves. So here is one option, but there are many options, okay? You can go, and here is a sample of a video that they are using. This is not mine, this is the app example. So here is an example of how you can use it with a video. That it upload in a second. The idea is, as I said, you can take any kind of picture or video or whatever, or even 360 video. And if you want to add, and if you want your students to add, because as I said, it's a collaborative tool. It's not only me adding the tools or using it for my students, they can also, and when going on sharing, you will be able to see that I can decide if I want the people who get the link will also be able to edit with me. And here there is a kind of a beard, and if I want to see more pictures, I can press the pictures, and if I want to read more information, I can read more information, etc., etc. And as I said, it is also working in Russian. So you can definitely use it for your students to create a fun way how you can make a picture or a video a bit more interactive for them. So this is Thing Link. I wanna, because we don't have a lot of time and I do want you to practice, I wanna move to the section of games and activities. And I wanna show you a few great ideas of how you can use different tools in order to create fun activities. First one that I want to show you is Word Wall. This is the a website. Word Wall is, sorry, again, an app for creating fun games. It is also available in Russian. And if I will go to the website, let me copy the link for you. You will be able to practice it. Okay, when switching to languages, when I'm scrolling down, there are options of Russian. Okay, then everything will be in Russian and you can create your games in Russian. I will use the English and the Russian translation for me to be able to follow. So what is Word Wall? Word Wall is a website that you can create with it a few kinds of games. As you can see here, there are few templates, few basic templates that you can create your games with it. So here is open the box and to create a match and the wheel and balloon pop and different templates that you can create your game with. When I want to create a game, I first need obviously to sign in. But after I have signed in, I can go to my activities, and then I can create activity. Now, when creating activity, as you can see here, it will tell me that in the free account, again, I have maximum 5 games that I can create. I need to choose the template that I want to play with, okay? And then I can create the game that I want to create. Let me show you an example. Here is a game that I created, and this game has many questions that I can start my class with, okay? So here is the game. I can do a large screen, and then the idea is I'm calling upon a specific participant, okay? And I'm asking them to choose a number. After they chose a number, I press the box, and then when the box opens, there is a question. The questions here are in Hebrew, but I can count any kind of question. It can be a fun question. For example, here the question is, how do you drink your coffee? It can be questions about the specific topic of the class. It can be any kind of question. And what is unique about this specific app is that the app knows what other templates I can use when creating another quiz. Because here is open a box I'm using, but look, the app offers me to switch it to random wheel. And now I can play basically the same game of questions. Just now, instead of opening a box, I'm spinning a wheel with few questions. And then I can ask my participants any kind of question that I asked before. How do I write those questions? When I'm going to create activity, then I have the option of edit content. Here, there it is, edit content. You can see it here. When I'm pressing edit content, then it will ask me if I want to edit this specific one or to duplicate it. And now you can see here are the questions that I wrote for myself in Hebrew, but now I can translate it, I can rewrite, I can add, I can delete, I can do whatever I want in order to create this kind of game. And again, it's a fun way to start my class with, or to make sure that my participants are following what's happening and they're with me. So this is word wall. For those of you who want to practice, I highly recommend also to practice word wall. I want to show maybe 2 more tools before we're going into the practice stage. First one, our books. Here is the website, and in the previous group that we had with them, this session, one of the participants did a great usage in this app. The idea of this app is you can create your own book, virtual book. So it can be a text, it can be images, it can be drawings, whatever you want. And here is an example. This is a book of grade 4, if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see, I can start the book, and then I can read page by page. Here, there is a text. From the left, you can see the images that the kids draw. And here we have an entire book that was created by us, and we can show it to the parents or to do whatever we want with it. But here is how to create a virtual book. And it's a great way, working as also in Russian. Just need to change the settings, and also in Hebrew and in English, obviously. A great way how you can create a virtual book. So here is our books. 2 more, and then we are going to practice. The one that I want to show you, called Class Tools. here, there it is, class tools. Class tools is a website where you have multiple options of activities, some of them for free, some of them cost money. Everything that is not premium, here you see the yellow box say premium, all the rest is for free. And let me show you one example. Okay, here, this is image reveal. This is this app. So I can upload any kind of image that I want, okay? Here you can see it, image reveal. I can upload any kind of image that I want. And let's say that I'm choosing a random picture from my computer. Let's see what I have. Here I have a random picture from my computer. I uploaded the picture, and now I can choose if I want more boxes or less. Okay, if I want more, if I want less. Okay, here are less. And then I can have a competition for my students saying that they need to reveal what is the image behind the black boxes. And it can be a fun game to start with. And the last app that I want to show you, the last tool before starting, I will put the link for people who want to play with it and to practice. I will put it in the chat. There you go. The last tool before splitting you into rooms and letting you practice, called Jeopardy Labs. Okay, Jeopardy Labs. I'm assuming that some of you knows the game of Jeopardy. It's like a trivia game. And this is basically it. You can create your own, sorry, Jeopardy. Let me copy the link for you here. You can create your own Jeopardy or trivia game about any kind of topic. Okay, here you can see there are a few topics already that are created, but you can create your own Jeopardy game, okay, your own trivia game. It can be, as I said, in Russian also. It can be, get to know your teachers, or a specific, about a specific family, or back to school, whatever you want. And the idea is you can split them into teams. Okay, here I can choose how many teams I want, 1, 2, 3, and then I can play. Those are, as you can see, the topics of the game. Let's say that I'm choosing 200. Here is the question. Pressing the space bar will reveal the answer, and then escape to go back. And if group number 1 was correct, I can add 200 to their score. And that way I can create a fun trivia game, Jeopardy game, that will be online. Before we're splitting into groups, are there any questions? Someone who wants to ask something? Okay, so what we will do, I will split the group into, let's see, into 5 groups. 5 groups. In each group, there will be about 4 or 5 participants, something like that. And then together with Yulia, I will go in between the groups. What we are asking is, each group, you can work in a group or by yourself. Choose one of the apps or the tools that I spoke about during the last hour, more or less, and start practicing it. When Yulia and myself will get into your room, you will obviously be able to ask questions, and we will be happy if you can share with us what you have created so far. Just for you to know, when I'm moving with Yulia in the rooms, we don't have the interpretation channel. So we will have to ask a question, Yulia will translate, you will answer, Yulia will translate, and then I will be able to understand. Any questions before moving into rooms? Okay, so we will give about 18 minutes, more or less.
Есть вопрос. Скажите, вы разбиваете в комнаты, ну, хаотично, да, люди, по 5 человек, те, кто захотят зайти, они должны выбрать общую же тему, правильно?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. I randomly split the people into rooms. They can work together as a group, or they can work individually, whatever they prefer. I think it's better to work in a group, then people can help each other.
Да, спасибо.
In each group, there is an option to share screen, and then they can see what's happening.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go into the rooms, and then Yulia and myself will start moving between the rooms. You can find all the links in the chat. Great, I'm happy.
Можно сказать, вы долго пытались понять, какой вообще взять вариант. Каждый немножко работает в своем формате, но я теперь привыкла сначала разобраться долго и упорно, а потом что-то делать. Но
мы
в конце удалось сделать колесо
долго разбирались, но в конце мы разобрались, и у нас все получилось.
Так сказать, вопросов. Оно получилось. Я думаю, что я дальше поковыряюсь, то уже получится с ним что-то дальше делать и как-то работать.
Great. I do agree that everything that I spoke about required practice. Yes, we need to practice.
Спасибо, это вообще очень интересно, интересный, ну, инструментарий очень интересный, особенно с детьми это все запускать, я думаю, это вообще будет здорово. В преддверии онлайн-лагеря, я думаю, это самое то.
Но мне кажется, что вот именно доска Padlet, она очень, ну, применима для разных мероприятий вот в наших каких-то таких условиях карантина, для объявки, для того, чтобы люди могли увидеть и могли поделиться.
Yes, exactly. This is exactly the idea, I think, behind those apps. Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone who is willing to share screen what they did? Oh, can you please share with us what was the idea, how you did it, everything?
Мы тестировали Padlet, чтобы посмотреть его для занятий. Мы добавили туда названия городов и фотографии какие-то из тех городов, откуда были участники в нашей группе. и начали делать ассоциативные комментарии, чем города похожи или что каждый из нас думает про город других участников, если мы там были. Я так понимаю, что туда можно еще добавлять видео и какие-то еще...
Yes, you can add.
Это очень классный инструмент. Спасибо большое. Жалко,
My
что мы не
pleasure.
успели все.
So in my clock, we have 2 minutes. So I would like to ask if there are any other questions. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I would like to give you some homework, if it's okay. Our next meeting is not next week because of Sukkot. If I'm not mistaken, it's on October 13th, if I'm not mistaken. For our next meeting, I would like to start by asking some of you to share something that you did with one of the tools that I showed. So please choose any kind of app or tools that we spoke about and practice it, do something it with your students, with your participants. And we would love to hear in our next meeting. As I said at the beginning, in our next meeting, we're going to speak about different ways of being interactive, how we can make our participants to be much more interactive in our session. I will show again few tools, and again we will be able to practice it. Thank you very much for participating. I hope that it was helpful and meaningful, and have a great rest of the day.
Спасибо. Thank you. תודה רבה.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Yulia, for translating.
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо большое. Спасибо.
И ты без спасибо.